Hey, Roger Martin here from Billings, Montana. Good day. And this is with James Alcher and a little bit of talk about Bitcoin.
Is Bitcoin heading back to its highs, and will it ever replace gold as the ultimate commodity? James, welcome to the show. Good to have you in studio.
Daniela, thanks for having me here.
Talking all things today.
Yes, yes. By the way, your voice was an octave higher when you started talking to the camera.
It's the anchor voice, James.
Yes, octave higher increases likability, octave lower increases trustworthiness.
Well, okay, so let me find a medium ground here.
Well, you maybe want to start high and move low when you get to serious issues.
That is a good tip, James. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Welcome to the show.
Now I can go, right? That's all you wanted.
First time you're on here. Let's talk about the rally behind Bitcoin. Everyone wants to know, could we see those highs we once hit?
Sure. I mean, there's a short-term story and a long-term story. The long-term story I've described in a lot of places. August 2017, I described the long story on CNBC, how cryptocurrencies solves, in general, many of the problems of paper currencies and fiat money, which you're familiar with, the fact that there's so many banks and fees and there's so much potential for human error. When the Federal Reserve or the central bank prints more money, there's potential for forgery, there's privacy issues. So cryptocurrency solves a lot of the problems of fiat money, and that long-term story is still intact. So long-term, it's just all cryptocurrencies that are safe and not scams are going to go up. And again, in that prior interview I mentioned.
Now, that's the key. A lot of these guys are trying to do things, but you got to watch for scams. But those that are safe, got to get their legal stuff straightened out, the paperwork straightened out. You'll be okay with them. And there's tons of them that are scams. So you got to watch the major players and see what they're doing. Look at their history, look at their team, look at their white papers, look at their financials.
I said 95% of cryptocurrencies were scams. That was in August 2017. About 80% of cryptocurrencies since then have gone to zero, so that's been proven mostly correct. In terms of the short-term rally, you know, there's so many problems right now with Iran, with China and these tariff wars that are happening. People are getting, and with Brexit issues, so people are getting afraid of the currencies that they own. So there's kind of a flight into other types of currencies like Bitcoin or like gold. So gold had a mini rise, but Bitcoin's gone up quite a bit. It's gone up from like 6,000 to 9,000 during this time. And I think there's more to it. It's a flight to safety, Bitcoin, and also there's a lot of companies now announced they were going to accepting it. So Whole Foods is accepting it. You know, many companies are accepting it. Salesforce.com just announced they're using blockchain technology.
Well, a lot of people would say that this run-up is thanks to the institutional players coming on board, U.S. online brokerages that are looking to offer Bitcoin in 2019.
Yeah.
So do you agree with that statement, that's
really
the force here?
That's certainly part of it. Like, think about a year ago, the SEC started saying, no, we need to look at this. I thought that was a great sign. Now, Bitcoin collapsed after that, but you want your regulators to kick out all the scams. You want some cleansing of any sort of financial innovation. So now, finally, they're starting to get ready to announce ETFs. Fidelity is going to start having an exchange for it.
Right, and that's where you have said that you actually see regulation as a good thing for Bitcoin. But let's talk about the 27 interview you did.
Sure.
You also mentioned that you wouldn't be surprised if Bitcoin could possibly go to $1 million by 2020.
Well, I'll explain the math. So if cryptocurrencies, or let's say Bitcoin, if Bitcoin ends up replacing paper currency, and it solves so many problems of paper currency, it should partially or completely replace paper currency in the long run. How much paper currency is out there? It's about $200 trillion worth of paper currency is in the world. And there's only about $200 billion of cryptocurrency. So that's 100,000% from here. That could give Bitcoin a price of, I don't know, $8 million. So $1 million is even a discount to where Bitcoin could eventually go. Now, when it actually gets there, who knows? It could be soon, it could be later, it could be, but the general direction has been up.
So you're sticking to that call?
Well, since I've made that call, Bitcoin's up something like 150%. So as long as the direction is good and you're making money, nobody should complain. Will it hit $1 million in 2020? Maybe. Will it be 2021, 2022? Who knows? At some point, some country, their currency is going to collapse. Who knows which country it will be? Argentina, Iran, any country, many countries in South America are potential. Some currency will collapse. The population of that country will say, let's all move to Bitcoin, and then you're going to see mass adoption, in addition to all the things you mentioned. More stores accepting it, Amazon starting to accept it, Fidelity starting to issue it to customers, all the online brokerages issuing it to customers, the SEC approving it.
James, what can you tell us about the volume behind this run-up? And there have been reports that some of the volume we're seeing it is fake. It's not real.
So anyhow, a lot depends about what's going on nationally, internationally, in different countries. A lot of it depends on what China's doing. We just talked about the Chan family, or the Dragon family, and the original Dragon family in China, the Qin family, excuse me, issuing that they want new technology to come out. They want gold to replace currently what we've got in the fiat currency. So what is this going to do to digital currency? What's it going to do to digital gold? These are big questions. We don't know when this is going to happen, but if it does happen in the next 2 or 3 years, it's going to put major pressure on the world banks, fiat banks, the elite groups, and you're going to see changes in pressure put on gold. You're going to see pressures put on digital currencies. To now have more regulation, better regulation, but the demand is going to skyrocket from millions to billions to trillions. So this is a very exciting time if it goes in a positive direction.
Sure. So I think that was the same thing that was said a year ago. Probably was true a year ago. But look, a lot of the trading in stocks, any kind of trading, some of it is fake or algorithmic, and it's not different from any sort of financial asset. Gold, a lot of the trading is fake. But what's happening now is very real, which is that China, there's more billionaires in China than the entire Forbes billionaire list. There's so many privately known billionaires in China.
Now that's an interesting statement. There are more privately owned billionaires in China than on the Forbes 400 list. That's an interesting statement.
What are they doing with their yuan, which is in trouble now because of this tariff war? All of these billionaires are concerned, and all the wealthy people of China or Iran or other countries, they're moving their currency into Bitcoin, because then it's easy to move to the United States or other places. It's not trackable. It's private. So
that's an interesting statement. China and these private billionaires could push and escalate the cost and the demand for Bitcoin way, way up this year and next year. Now remember, Bitcoin and billionaires out of China, one or two are saying that China is in serious financial trouble. If they move to do this with Bitcoin, wow, Bitcoin is going to skyrocket the next year or two if this is definitely done. So another crucial point.
I think we're seeing right now a large movement of wealth into crypto. Also, we might be seeing huge mutual fund companies like Fidelity starting to gather Bitcoin in preparation for their online exchanges and products and so on.
Do you feel there's manipulation?
Now, we haven't talked about the banks. The banks are going to have to consider what they're doing digitally. We just got word a month ago that Canada's national bank is going to start competing with exchanges and offering that services. So, and that competition. So that's powerful.
In Bitcoin?
No, I mean maybe the final run up to 20,000, at the end of 2017, there was some manipulation. but the long-term story is intact. Like 20,000 is a huge discount from where the underlying value of Bitcoin will be in the long term.
You brought up store of value before, and is it, how do you make the case for Bitcoin as a store of value with the volatility that we've seen?
Well, Bitcoin, I'm not sure how volatile it really is versus other things. Like Bitcoin is the highest performing asset of 2019 if you throw in stocks, oil, gold, bonds. Bitcoin is up the most. For a long time, it was kind of steady around 5,000. It dipped to 3,000. Now it's up to 8,000. But for quite a long time, it just stayed between 5,000 and 6,000. Now it seems to be staying between 8,000 and 9,000. It's not that much more volatile than stocks at this point.
Do you think it's a replacement to gold? People love having this debate of, and I know you've debated Jim Rickers
Sure.
on this very topic
Very
of
smart
gold
guy. I like
versus
Jim.
versus Bitcoin. So, why even have the debate? Is it necessary? Like, why pit these two assets against each other?
I think people just do that for fun. But realistically, Bitcoin solves problems. Like Bitcoin lets you have currency transactions that are more private, less prone to human error, less prone to a central bank manipulating it. You could transfer Bitcoin so much more easily overseas, so you could do microtransactions overseas. Tell me one thing you can buy with gold. With Bitcoin, I can buy a donut at the bodega downstairs. With gold, downstairs in this building. With gold, I can't buy anything.
So you've
So we're going to end it there. This is a very sharp guy. I like a lot of what he says. We got 201,000 views on this since May 31st, 2019. So in a little over a half year, he's got 21,000 on this. And remember, Bitcoin is slowly on its way up. We're going to see what happens in this May halving and after. Looks like a very exciting time this year for Bitcoin and next year especially. We've talked about the historical records and the 4-year period and so forth. Bitcoin, if it stays on the historical patterns, should really take off towards the middle of this year, towards the end, and the beginning of next year. You should see some great demand and pressure on Bitcoin, and it should skyrocket. The historical predictions now are this is going to get somewhere around 20,000 and above by the end of this year, and you're going to see it skyrocket in the beginning of January of next year and go to at least 100,000 to 300,000. What it will actually do, no one knows, but those are the current predictions from several savvy groups. This is Roger Martin from Billings, Montana. Good day. Take a look at Bitcoin and what it's doing. Also, we've got to get the stuff straightened out legally with Cloud Token. The end of this month, it should be straightened out. February should look great. And if that is done, I'm going to fully get into it in February and use its artificial intelligence trading bot to make some serious money with what is going to happen with Bitcoin. It's that simple, it's that powerful, it's that beautiful if it happens. If it doesn't happen, we're still going to make some money with Bitcoin. Anyhow, you should have several digital currencies. You should also be looking at what they're going to do with gold, because gold is planned and predicted by Trump and Q and other people to replace the Fed and the international markets and banking systems. So you should be taking a serious look at digital gold currencies and other digital currencies, because we're going to get into a transition situation in the next 2 to 4 years before Trump finishes his second term. All that's coming, a very exciting time financially for the world markets and the digital markets. It's Roger Martin from Billings, Montana. Good day.